Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, November 28th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. A few notes. First off, the market closed earlier today on Friday at 1 p.m. Just because day after Thanksgiving, that's how it normally works. Second thing is that as I talk right now, the market is still open for about 5 more minutes. So yes, the price you see there changing and the candlestick you see moving around is because, like I said, market's still technically open for 5 minutes, but the market is, has closed earlier today at 1 p.m. So as of right now, it's about 12:55 p.m. Eastern time. But let's hop right into it. So ticker symbol MANU, absolutely monster the past couple days. And today was no different. Got the gap up this morning. You can see right there. And then even after that, made a big move up. And it did pull back. So yes, as of now, you could say that there is a bit of a downwards channel. However, you have to throw in the entire context. And when you factor in what happened before the downwards channel, meaning there's this big upward move here, what all you've done is now created a bull flag pattern. So yes, I get it that there has been a little bit of a pullback. There is a downwards channel. However, bull flag pattern, I should note that just because something's bullish and pattern-wise does not mean for sure guaranteed the price is going to go up. My point here is that it's more than valid. It's a more than rational thought. If you're thinking, well, I think if the price can break up through there, it could get more momentum. Again, not a guaranteed outcome, but certainly a plausible outcome due to the bull flag nature of the pattern. So yes, it's pulled back. Yes, there's a downwards channel. But when you factor in previous context, going into next week, MANU's got a good solid bull flag pattern. Next one, COSM, and we have ourselves another nice little pattern here, more so from the breakout standpoint because there's such a well-defined level up here at the 48-cent mark. So I say well-defined because I'm not trying to press you. I'm not trying to imply that's some sort of secret discovery. You got to think that a lot of people are watching that level, and when a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So as I just noted, while outcomes are not guaranteed, is it a plausible outcome that if the price comes up to that level and gets to break up through it, that could create good solid pressure because people are noticing, oh, look, it's buying or breaking a resistance. Oh, I'm a breakout trader. Okay, it's time to buy. Yeah, that is certainly a very possible outcome there. As far as levels of support and overarching levels, continue to watch that purple line there. And from a bigger picture point of view, as long as the price is above that purple line, the 50-period moving average, keyword being moving. So as time goes on, that line is going to keep moving itself higher and higher. So it's basically like a trend line that's going to draw itself for you. So as long as the price is above the quote-unquote trend line, then the overall trend is still in the upwards direction. So keep an eye on that as that main level of support. But overall, good little pattern here. Nice, very well-defined breakout point. So we'll see what it has to offer on Monday. Next one, HLBZ, and we have a good little pattern here that is formed. Well-defined breakout point once again up there at 25 cents. So I don't need to go through that all again, but you have, that potential, self-fulfilling prophecy level right there. We have a nice little uptrend line right there. So let me change that to green to represent more so a bullish dynamic of the pattern. And maybe to make this just all easier to see, we have our, black was a poor choice. All right, there we go. We have our resistance. We have our support. We have the momentum move up like that. And in this situation, we would have a bull pennant pattern. So bull pennant pattern here. Keep an eye on that, especially if you like penny stocks. Next one, AMC AMC. And sometimes I get AMD and AMC, but this is AMC. And $8 is the level that I talked about previously. And you can see that the price somewhat got up around that area, but never really gave it a good effort to potentially break through that level. So the red resistance line, again, up around that $8 mark remains that key level of resistance headed into Monday. So you want to keep an eye on that. But overall, the chart did not do anything wrong. Sure, it didn't break out, but nothing can go straight up every day. And the main reason for a couple, reason number one, the price is still nicely up above that purple line there, the 50-period moving average. And even if I were to draw in a trend line like this to illustrate more so an overall pattern, you can see the price is still well above that level too. So really from any angle you look at it from more of a broader point of view, sure, there is no, explosions today in price, but it's not like there's any sort of massive collapses or anything like that either. So big picture wise, the nice pattern continues to set up for next week. And as volume, ideally returns, potentially this thing can make another go up at the top part of the resistance level. So we'll see what it has to offer next week. Next one, SOFI, and I was very curious about this one because as I talked about on Wednesday, remember the markets were closed on Thursday for Thanksgiving. So on that note, hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving. But I was very curious because the price is broken above the trend line. So it was a matter of, okay, is this the start of something bigger? And apparently not really, because you can see that the opening candle here today fell right back below that level. Now there is a little bit of an upwards move here. So potentially this is maybe the start of something, but yeah, a very disappointing day when you consider the fact that on Wednesday that trend line had been broken, showed some strength, only to have that all wiped away, earlier on in the day today, which now also brings about an interesting level of support, because you can see now the price has quite a bit of history developing here, down around about $4, and we'll call it 52 cents. You can see right there, found some support. Right there, again, found some support. So, maybe, just maybe a double bottom forming. That could potentially be a scenario that's unfolding here. But also, you got to be very, very skeptical with this one because, yeah, it's been beaten down. The trend is still quite a bit downwards. But like I said, when a relatively popular stock like this gets beat down, in which this one has, there can be some very nice bounces. And, if this is the start of a bigger bounce via the double bottom, worth keeping an eye on. Real quick, wanted to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online training that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen here and you want to learn more about this tool and how it can and should be used to help build consistency as a trader, then certainly get signed up for the free training. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying what you've seen, then I definitely want you to get signed up for the free training. Next one, TSLA Tesla, and this will mean a bit more to those of you that watched the video from Wednesday, but talked about that resistance line right there, and sure enough, the power of chart. So again, quick plug, get signed up for that training. But right here, you can see this morning that trend line did a fantastic job of forecasting where the problem area was. Now, it wasn't like a train wreck where it got rejected and completely collapsed. Nothing dramatic at all. The price is still well within striking distance of that resistance. But the one thing to keep in mind is even if the price does break that resistance, again, that is a step in the right direction, but not that far away. You have that pink line right there, which is the 200 period moving average, which brings about a very valid question of, okay, that's great that the trend line has been broken, but how is the price going to behave at that 200 period? Now, if the price gets up to that 200 period moving average and breaks through there, that would just be further confirmation of good, solid strength. But my core point here is just because that red line's broken, there's still more work that needs to be done. So you want to keep an eye on that dynamic. As far as any sort of pullbacks, main level to watch is going to be right there, that purple line there, 50 period moving average, currently valued at 175. Next one, AAPL Apple, and overall an interesting day just because the price is once again down after a gap down this morning, but it's down around this area here at 147. That's got a pretty big track record, I would say. You have a couple points right here, generally speaking, right there. I realized right there actually broke below it. That didn't last very long before the price snapped back above it. Right there, right there. So 147 is certainly going to be, we can call it one of those self-fulfilling prophecy points where a lot of people are going to be watching, so worth keeping an eye on. If the price does visit 147 and cannot hold above it, the next key level of support at that point would be that pink line there, the 200 period moving average, valued at 145.50. So you'd want to keep an eye on that dynamic. And then from more of the overarching standpoint of things, this is definitely a trend line that you got to think a ton of people have. I mean, look how beautiful this trend line turned out to be. I mean, that point and then rejected right there. So if the price can come up there and get the breakup through there, again, guaranteed outcome, no, but a reasonable outcome based on self-fulfilling prophecies, yeah, that's certainly something to keep an eye on. Next one, GOEV, and rough day today, gapped up and then pulled back. However, an interesting situation because if you like to place, these pullbacks where prices drop quite a bit, there is this little gap close location down around the $1.10 mark, and around the same general area, you have the 50 period moving average. So you have, a quote unquote, potential zone of support right there, which nobody could accuse you of thinking that's some sort of random area on the chart. So guaranteed bounce, of course not. But like I said, if you like to play those situations where things were looking good and it was looking good when it gapped up and then have turned pretty ugly, but sometimes there can be opportunity in the ugly, then this is definitely one to keep an eye on. If there is any sort of, turnaround, then it's been the case with some of these other stocks. The main battleground will be that 200 period moving average, which is essentially what rejected the price down today when it got up around that area. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, this is certainly one where, like I've said, if you're not necessarily a breakout player, but you like to play pullbacks and you like to play this price range, I'd keep an eye on it. Next one, RLX, and I like this one for a couple reasons. First dynamic being the fact that there now seems to be a very well-defined breakout point right up here at the 205 mark. So keep an eye on 205, but also nice overall trend. I mean, let me just zoom it so you can see how much more, this thing is in a very big uptrend here. So you have that context as I zoom back in. So now you have a pullback within the uptrend. So if you still do believe in the overall trend, then I can completely see why you would consider this a potential buying opportunity because, past several times, and again, this does not mean it'll happen again, but there's a pullback, turned out just fine. There is a pullback, turned out just fine. Here's a pullback again, which brings to the question, if you think it's going to turn out just fine again, then yeah, you do have a good quality opportunity here because the past couple pullbacks, things, turned out around very nicely. So once again, if you like to, do trend trading, you like to play stocks down below $5, certainly keep an eye on it. Next one here, TQQQ. This is an ETF that tracks the NASDAQ. So if you think that the NASDAQ market is going to rise, then you could buy this because this just allows you access at a much lower price point and why it is, I think, the most popular ETF out there, at least based on volume traded per day. So overall, a rough day today in the sense of the price fell back below that level right there. So this is just an example resistance because the price is, or excuse me, a support that now that the price is below it would be considered a level of resistance again. So essentially $22.50 has gone back to being an area of resistance. But, the price is still well within striking distance of that. So I don't think it would shock anybody to see the price get back above it. But again, technically speaking, because the price has dropped below it, you would now have to consider $22.50 back to being that level of resistance. If the price can get back above it and push forward, then that $23.30 mark would be the next key overall level. And then as, has been the case with some of these other ones, it's good to see that the price is still above that 50 period moving average, especially when there's this upward slope to it. And then you have the main level down here. But so that would be more of a worst case scenario if the price actually goes all the way down there, because that would require quite a bit of a downwards move. But big picture wise, you have plenty of wiggle room here. And, in all actuality, you have basically a poor man. Maybe somebody like, no, Clay, you're kind of just fitting a square peg through a round hole. Maybe. But like I said, today, yeah, it gapped down, but it's not like it was a disaster by any means. And we'll see if the price can get back above $22.50, because that would be a good step, I think, next week to illustrate maybe more bigger moves to come. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for the class next week. It'll be Thursday, December 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, do two things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment below. Tell me what you traded today. Tell me what you're watching next week. But hitting the like button and leaving a comment, help out the algorithm, help out the channel. And I appreciate you and thank you in advance for doing so. So like I said, get signed up for that class. Hit that like button, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good weekend.